Hey everyone, we're here with podcast number 3. Today we're going to be talking about escaping the cycle of restlessness. I'm here with my good friend Levi O'Brien. How's it going, Levi?
It's going good. How are you, Samuel?
I'm doing well.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks for being on.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm privileged, man.
Yeah.
Really am.
So this is a big month for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I got a wedding coming up. Somebody was texting me about my bachelor party, and I'm like, dude, I don't even have time or the capacity to even think about that.
There you go.
Basically, you plan it, and I'll show up because I just don't have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. So this is kind of a cool topic for you to talk about too, because you're moving at this space. It's something kind of you can dive into, and we can really listen to from someone moving at your pace.
Yeah, and I mean, there are things that change in your life when you're going to be stepping into getting married. It's just like, I better grow up fast. It's kind of what it feels like. But yeah, we're going to be talking about something that I've been thinking about for a while now. So maybe it'll be new to some people, but it's not new to me. So,
awesome. Well, hey, let's dive right in here.
Sure, man. Sure. Well, okay, so one thing I've been really considering is obviously we're talking about losing the restlessness, losing, this cycle of, man, you keep doing things you don't want to do. I know so many people, and even times in my own life when I've done something or I've stepped into a situation, or like you get angry. Suddenly you're just angry, or you're staying up real late playing video games all the time, and you wake up in the morning like, man, that sucked. Why did I do that? I'm not going to do that tomorrow. Tomorrow comes and you do it again. And you get in this cycle, this vicious cycle of doing some of these things that you should change. You need to get out of, or, and some of it's some sin stuff or whatever, that you're like, man, I really need to get away from this. But you feel this inability to step out of it, to become... because you come here to church now, or you go, wherever you're at, you see this person you want to be, and you're like, I can't be that person because of all this other junk and stuff in my life. And it's like, how do you now clean up the mess? How do you now get rid of all that stuff and move out of this restless cycle, this spinning cycle of just doing these things you don't want to do? So I guess what we're going to be talking about is what's a way to get out.
Right.
Yeah. What's a way to step beyond?
Yeah, so you talked a little bit about, when you were sharing this thought to me, you talked a little bit about how who you are affects what you do. So how do you get to where you are you're a rested soul, you have a rested soul, and it's not affecting what you do and how you do things?
Well, and, I mean, I'm going to be saying what seems like a simple answer, but with each person it's different.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We're to go from being restless to being restful.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that mean? It just means, man, you have peace. You have joy flowing in your life. You look at people with compassion. You are a powerful person who goes, if I want to make this amount of money with my life, I'm going to figure out a way to do it. Yeah. If I want to affect change in this area of my city or school or whatever, I can do it. Because you are in that place where in restfulness before God, you are who you have been made to be. And you are, I'll just use Danny Silk's term, a powerful person who makes decisions without anything else affecting them except for that joy, life, strength, goodness of God. So now to move from, because, well, right now, many of us are in this place where we're like, okay, I wish I was that. I wish I was doing those things. Mm-hmm. But I feel this restlessness, and it comes down to, like you mentioned a second ago, who you are. Mm-hmm. And so the Bible has there's a ton of scriptures that talk about be found in Christ, being found in the Lord, like as I was in the sanctuary, you know what I mean, in the presence of God, with the people of God. Like it talks about, but the biggest one I want to talk about is like who you are in Christ. There is this person that God has specifically designed you to be. You are this person. And that has come down from the highest authority. You know,
Right.
the heavenly throne room of God says Samuel Knoll is this person.
Right.
And that is where you're trying to move to. You see what I'm saying? Like, that is really who you are. But now, there comes a point in, say, I'll just use that as an example. There comes a point in Samuel's life where, okay, he stepped into something that he shouldn't have done. You had a moment, there was a real stressful week or something, and you lashed out at your mom. Or you spent more money than you should have spent, or, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't have that money to spend, and now it's gone, or all this stuff. Like, you do these things, and then suddenly this guilt comes over,
Right.
this shame comes over you, just pure darkness, sometimes even fear. You want people to like you, so you make certain decisions. You want, you have fears about your own life, like, I'm never gonna succumb to anything, so you just act and behave out of that. But so you think who you are is those bad decisions. You think who you are is that liar, is that person who is deceptive, that person who it yells at their mom, or who is angry, or who is depressed, that person who looks at those things that they shouldn't, who talks to and hangs around the people they know they shouldn't. You feel like that's who you are. But who you actually are has been already designed, made, and set up. And what you're experiencing right now is the effect of darkness coming into your life and trying to change, warp, turn your identity around, and make you, and because you've done bad things, but how long does it take to wipe off marker from a whiteboard? Nothing. It doesn't take anything. You wipe it off and it's gone. You wipe it off and there you go. Who you are is not far away, but darkness has made it seem far away. Darkness has made it seem like you are covered in this junk that can never be taken away. But it's not hard to take it off.
Yeah.
It's not hard to get back to that clean slate. And so we're looking at how we behave right now, but guess what? How you're behaving is not defining who you are. What you are doing is truly not defining who you are, because who you are can only be found and tapped into when you are in Christ.
That's good. Yeah, I like that you used that analogy too in class one time about the dot. You just put a dot on the board and you step back and you ask the class, you said, what do you notice on the board? And we all said the dot. You said, it's funny how there's an entire white board of all these good things, and sometimes we notice the one thing on in our lives. And so do you think a restful person would notice the white, or do you think the restful person, do you think a restful person thinks more about what God's doing good in their life, or do you think they think more about that one mistake?
It's a great question. I mean, a restful person, honestly, their mind is hardly thinking about any of that. Their mind is, they're thinking about things like creating. They're thinking about things like just living in that peace. Like, you go to an amusement park, and does anybody have to tell you to enjoy yourself? You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
You go watch a movie, does anybody have to tell you to sit back, relax? When you're that restful person, nobody has to really tell you what to do. Like, you don't have to overly think about it. You're just like walking in this freedom, in a joy, and in a life. And a thought comes up to do this stupid thing, and you're like, why ever? Why ever would I do that? Why ever? Your mom says something to you, it's been a stressful week, and you respond in peace. You respond in joy.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no thing pulling on your soul in a wrong direction. And so I guess the question would be, okay, Levi, but how do I get to that point? Like, that sounds amazing. That sounds like unattainable, though. But how do I get to that point? And for me, it's just been things like getting in the presence of God, making him a choice in my day.
Yeah.
You know,
Right on.
making him important, bringing him up into my conversation. I was talking to somebody recently, and they were like, I was like, you know how you talk to God? You just add him to the conversation you're already having in your head. Just add him to it. Ask him about it.
Wow.
You're feeling depressed? Talk to him about it. Bring it up. You're thinking about what you're going to do with your life? Bring Jesus into the conversation. Just add him to the conversation. Just add him to your day. And you're going to find yourself more easily just being who you have been made to be. Just living in that peace, in that joy, in that restfulness of God.
Yeah. So as kind of a concluding question here.
Sure.
So darkness does not necessarily attack that one moment of sin or that one mistake you make.
Yeah.
They're targeting who you are.
Right.
So how do we so looking at sin in that aspect, accessing the restfulness of God, how do we do that? How do we access it with that knowledge? How do we prevent the enemy from getting that deep into us?
You know, and the only way that he gets deep into you is we've let him in.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no, it's not like a spike driven into your skin or something like that. Like we have let him deceive us. Like you said, there's a moment of bad decision, but now he takes advantage of that moment. And shame and guilt comes into your life, which drives your fear of somebody finding out about your shame and your guilt. And then you're suddenly stepping into more, and you're doing more stupid things, and you're trying to cover up. And so now you're a liar, and now you're moving just farther and farther and farther away.
Yeah.
And what you gotta do is you just come back to the bare minimum, that place, kind of where it all began, I guess you could say, of, wait a minute, I gotta back up here. This isn't me.
Right on.
This isn't who I am. Because I am someone else when I'm on the prayer floor. I am someone else when that moment in worship comes and I'm like, like I am feeling, when you are surrounded by the presence of God, you're one person. You're this certain person. You have that restfulness. You know what I mean? Maybe not fully, but you need to tap into it more. But, we feel who we are coming alive in those moments. And so you gotta just step back from, okay, yeah, I've been doing all these dumb things, but I can now revert back away from that and get who I am actually being affected by God again.
Wow.
Who I am, I don't need to keep bringing up, God, this is what I've done. This is what I'm doing. This is what's happening. Step away from that.
That's so good.
And step back into, who am I, God?
Yeah.
When you're in me, when I'm in you, who am I now? Just erase all the other junk and step back and go, who am I when you are the love of my life? When you are the one that I want and desire.
So to remove yourself from the restless cycle, you have to just remember that we were created in God's image. And that's who we are. And that's where we are based.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Thank you, Levi.
All right, man. Thank you.